Justin, welcome, buddy, and thank you very much for accepting the invitation.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Just to give you a short introduction to the listeners, today I'm joined by Justin Rodermond. Hope I pronounced your last name correctly.
Exactly.
Uh, and I know Justin for quite some time now. He was actually in the recruiting team when I interviewed for Skillshare. And thanks to him, I got to spend a lot of great time in the Skillshare team. And yeah, I would like on this occasion to thank you again for that opportunity. And after your Skillshare adventure, where you were a senior director of engineering, you recently started Jump Revenue, a company, a bootstrap company from scratch that for sure we will speak about more today. But let's start with the beginning. I'm super fascinated by the origin stories of folks. How did you start it with computers in general, and how like your journey was so far?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. This is an honor to be interviewed and have this conversation and do a podcast. And yeah, it was likewise really great to spend so much time together on the team at Skillshare. And so it's cool to see that you're doing this now. It's very exciting. So the origin story, like how did I get my start?
Yeah.
Um, so my
Your first memories with computers, let's say, how
Yeah,
did they start?
yeah. I remember when I first got my hands on a computer before um we had one at in my family, and it was just a DOS prompt, and
Mhm.
I thought I thought that it was like secret codes I was typing in to make and so I was so interested.
Yeah.
So I think finally when I did uh have a computer, which was sometime in the 90s, um then it was DOS. It was the batch files, like programming batch files in DOS, and realizing that I could string commands together and output text and do things like that. But then I learned there was also QBasic on those machines, and so probably editing QBasic gorillas and QBasic
Yeah.
nibbles, and realizing that there's programming. You can actually write your own, and so then started making games in QBasic, little like text games or little graphical games of very simple. Um, and from there, I probably uh, calculators is where I like learned some programming concepts because that was also basic, like a TI-83
Mhm, mhm.
um, was essentially the basic programming language, and so there was a lot of like labels and go-tos and different places to to
Yeah,
do different things and make choices in code. Um, and so, yeah, I remember I built a Nibbles clone on my
oh, nice,
calculator,
nice.
and I made a little chat uh, program that so I could talk to the person, in front of me or behind me or next to me in class. Of course, you had to have the cable connected between the two calculators, and
Ah, oh, that's super advanced. I mean,
you had to
okay,
have the
nice.
program installed on both.
Now, okay, then pretty cool indeed. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it hardly worked, but it was like a proof of concept, and that I think sparked my interest a lot.
Uh,
And then, yeah, go ahead.
I think the first time I did something like network related was in my first year of university. So I started also like you with making games actually.
Yeah.
Uh, I was having my father brought home a computer, was a Commodore. I think was most popular in the Eastern, like former communist bloc. And this computer actually did it was just the keyboard. It didn't have the monitor. You'll have to plug it into your TV.
Oh,
And
okay. Yeah.
yeah, the thing with this computer was that it was broken. By default, you'll use some sort like audio cassette that you'll store information that would be the hard drive of the
Amazing.
computer. Yeah, but this one was broken. I think the entry, the jack or something like that was broken, and you couldn't load. So basically, you didn't have any permanent storage, just the QBasic, exactly QBasic, and that was it, the RAM. But and speaking of computers, how I learned to code, I got, I don't know, I got this a book. I don't have it right now with me, but a book where they had like very basic games like Tetris. Tetris actually
Uh-huh.
was an advanced game, where like guess a number games or something like that.
Yeah.
And I spent all the time just typing that stuff into, but I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know English or something like that, or just like as you said, spells like secret codes and
Yeah.
I typed those things so many times. At one point, they started to make some logic. Like I was
It
new.
was written out, and there was the program written out, and you printed, and you could
Yep,
type it in to
exactly,
your own machine, and
exactly,
so you would just wow.
and I did that so many times because at one point, I mean, my mother was keeping the computer connected to the some energy, but I don't know if at one point she had to unplug the computer or something like that. Everything will be gone, and I'll have to start again. And
Um,
when you are a kid, you have a lot of time. So I typed that thing over and over again until at one point it started to make sense. So it was okay if I read, okay, I knew, for example, that red or yellow, those are colors and what they mean, but I was changing all kinds of stuff and started to see the differences. And yeah,
yeah,
that was, yeah. So games are cool. So games, I think they were the entryway for so many people in
I know.
programming. That
Yeah, I agree.
th-
They're fun. It's yeah, and you do have a lot of time when you're a
yeah,
kid.
exactly, exactly,
That is a key
exactly.
part of it. I feel like nowadays engineering becomes about how do you save time and how do you
I
do it
know.
efficiently and how do you not get distracted.
I know.
Uh,
Exactly,
yeah,
exactly. Yeah, good point. Great point. Indeed. I always have these memories of the flow or Zen. I don't know how to say when I was a
yeah,
kid and I was just typing that stuff over there because I was also learning how to type the like where the keys are on the keyboard and yeah, nice memories. But it's funny that you also mentioned that you started by making games.
yeah,
And
yeah. I did.
moving forward, how was your career? How did it evolve to the to where it is right now?
Yeah. Well, that's a good question too. So I kind of didn't professionally. I did some other things before I came back to coding. I worked in media. I worked in film and television a little
Oh,
bit, and in music, um, and then I kept coming back to writing code in one way or another. I think I was making websites for people, and then I was working on like a Twitter bot, and I just realized it was a good time for a change, and so I started really focusing on it, and you know, kind of cleaning up my skills, taking some online courses, and then started a freelance business and started building websites, full stack development, so just front end and back end, and from there, I kind of worked into bigger projects and learned more and grew and um, started building some more what you call like web apps. And then at some point, I started looking for roles with companies to advance my skill, and so it was kind of organic. It just sort of unfolded. Um, I tried to go back to school to actually get a degree. And
So actually, you don't have any degree in computer science. It's
no, I
you're
studied
self-taught.
film,
Fantastic.
and yeah,
Fantastic.
and so I tried to go back to school at one point, and they didn't. I would try to get in a master's program because like I said I already went to undergrad, but
Mm.
they were like, no, you don't qualify, and and so I just went online. I was like, well, I think I already know what I need to know to do this job,
Yeah.
like a lot of people. But no, I do still really appreciate when people have the computer science fundamentals down really well. But yeah, my career grew kind of organically. I think I was working at a startup in New York where I was rebuilding kind of their core product um, that ended up turning into a bigger thing, and then I needed more people to help on the project, and so that project just sort of grew organically, and then
Mhm.
suddenly I was managing a team, and then I was asked if I would formally be the manager, which was cool, and so I started doing that and trying that, and that kind of shifted my focus from an individual contributor, um, but then I think which was I missed coding day to day, the amount of coding that I was doing, but I also realized that I had a lot more leverage and reach and kind of
A
could
bigger
get
impact.
bigger impact. Yeah, a bigger impact. And so that was fun. And so I was enjoying that, and I was able to do with my team. We were able to do great things. And so I continued on that path. And then I realized that there were parts of it that I was pretty good at, and then I also realized there were a lot of people that were a lot smarter than me. So it gave me a chance to surround myself with really talented engineers, and together we could build something.
If if you speaking of this, I'm derailing a bit, but if you have the possibility to design your perfect work day, how will it be between an individual contributor and a manager? How much would you manage, and how much would you be an individual contributor?
Yeah, I'm kind of experiencing that question every day these days because we'll talk about it more. But
Yeah,
the company
yeah.
that I started, I'm for the first time I'm an individual contributor. For the first time in 10 years, I'm an individual contributor again on a regular basis, from day to day. I mean, I have a team that I'm working with now, but I'm still doing a lot of coding. So I think that I still appreciate managing and overseeing a project, and kind of focusing on the high level of making architectural choices, and then having other folks who are maybe more talented at an individual language or framework or piece of the puzzle that can implement that and do a really nice job at that, and then I can review it and we can work through it. So I like that still, but having a little bit of time in a day to answer your question when I can go deep on some code and kind of get lost is really nice. Just so having just I guess you need a few hours really to get to that
Yeah,
place.
yeah,
So I don't know the exact breakdown, but maybe at least having 2 hours of that
exactly,
would be
exactly.
great. Yeah,
This is also what I found, that having 2 hours is the minimum amount of time you need to get into, I don't know, the zone, let's say,
yeah,
where you can actually enjoy what you are doing there. And
I,
by the way, as a fun fact, like when I was in the Skillshare team, that was maybe one of the reasons I loved the job was the fact that you guys were all in US. I was in Europe, and in the mornings everything was quiet unless
yeah,
something broke overnight or something like that. And usually it wasn't the case. It was quiet during the morning, and I could actually get the job done. And I think it's very important to have some focus time. Extremely, extremely important to have a focus time in
yeah,
at a company level, let's say.
yeah. I like that. I totally agree. Yeah, working with teams around the world at Skillshare, and then even in what I'm doing now, it's great that the schedules are offset and you do kind of get some built-in focus time. All right.
Yeah.
So how do you split your time these days? Like when is your focus time?
Uh, Actually, I'm working for a small company, and it's quite easy to even if I mean I have to not I mean to developers who I that are in my team, and I'm like the team lead and so on. But in general, I discovered I try to do so. For me, I'm very aware and focused and so on in the mornings. So I try to
Hmm.
protect that time, and especially after I have a cup of coffee and I'm like racket, I try to from I don't know, let's say 8:30 in the morning till 12. To get 12, 1, something like that, to get the most of the job done. Because I've discovered if I do like some serious progress during the morning, after that, all my day is much more calmer. I mean, I already die. I can already look back at the day and say that, okay, I moved something today.
Yeah.
I've it wasn't like, and after that, okay, all of the small things start to pile up, and that's okay during the afternoon. I'm also a
Okay.
bit tired. I feel the need to. I'm not able to focus as well. I feel the need to speak with people. So yeah, long story short, I still try to do as much as possible in the morning.
Yep.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Let's talk a bit about jump revenue because, yeah, this is your main focus today, and I think it will be a fantastic thing. If you have to give, how was it, the elevator pitch? If you have to describe what jump revenue does in a short amount of time, how would you present? How would you present it?
Yeah, yeah. So Jump Revenue at its core is a multi-calendar tool. So it's a way to search and filter across an entire team and see what are the most important meetings. And so, in particular, it's tailored for sales teams, and so it's used by the leadership of the sales team. So that might be the CRO of a company, or a VP of sales, or a RevOps person, or a director of sales, somebody like that, that um, needs to understand what's happening across the whole spectrum of the team and where are the most important moments that they can help step in and make a difference, or join a call, or flag something that needs to be fixed. And so I think what we found is that this process, in spite of there being so many tools in this space, this process is super manual still for a lot of people that we interviewed. And there's a lot of just clicking on individual calendars of sales reps to find out what external calls they might have that week or that day, and a lot of like pinging people on Slack for updates, or checking the CRM, or looking at an email thread. And so yeah, despite all these tools, there's not a tool that's very meeting focused, calendar focused, like across the team. And so that's what we're building.
Nice, nice, nice.
Yeah.
You cannot see my screen, but I'm also recording my screen. So I've also shared a bit the website, jumprevenue.com, and
Oh,
there is
great.
also get early access button in the top right. So yeah, looking forward. I think I told you I already signed up for the waiting list, so looking
Yeah.
forward to that. I'm curious, how did you get the idea, let's say? How did you find the pain point? Because it's not like a default customer pain point. I mean, it's not like your average, you'll have to have some knowledge into the industry in order to identify this. How was it for you? How did you find this pain point and this solution?
Yeah. So I didn't.
Hmm.
It's the short answer. So my co-founders are incredibly plugged into this industry.
Hmm.
And so Jordan Kennedy is someone who I worked with at a previous company several years back, and he and I have stayed in touch. And he's eager to start something of his own, and so had been keeping in touch for a few years, and he was running different ideas by me, um, that he was thinking of that could be a cool idea for a software company. And um, he evolved this over time, and I think he did these interviews with sales leaders, which is his space. He is a sales leader himself, and he's done that at multiple organizations.
I see.
But when he started talking to people who were his peers and colleagues in his network, he just started trying to figure out what their problems were and what their pain points were. So he kind of just manually sourced this, and then it resonated with something that he felt, that he saw that he was kind of also doing, and that wasn't a solved problem for him, that was taking up a lot of his time. So it was kind of the case of where you build the solution to your own problem, and then you validate it externally, and then you realize that there's something there.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
And I know you bootstrapped this company, so it wasn't like VC founded or something like that. You actually got your first clients before launching, and weren't you, because this is a tough moment for being a developer in general, being tech, involved in tech. It's a very split environment, let's say. You have the big tech that are making a killing and making a lot of money and so on. On the other side, you have the medium and small companies that are like hyper struggling, and also the employees and employees I think are struggling everywhere. Weren't you a bit nervous to start this adventure in such a tough environment?
Yeah, a little bit. It's a good question. Um, I guess the short answer is that it was just such a killer product idea,
Mm.
that seemed proven, based on what we knew and the interviews and everything that we had done, and such a killer team, um, that I couldn't pass it up.
Fantastic.
And so I think the longer answer is, yeah, the timing in the industry and the macro environment is probably not ideal, but the timing for me personally was.
Mhm, mhm.
So um, it just made a lot of sense, and I think, we worked at Skillshare together. I had for a while, I had kind of my dream job there. I loved my role and the team and the culture and the product and the mission, and there were a lot of things that were going great. There was definitely a lot that we could improve, but it was pretty cool. At least while I was, like, financially, while I was working, before kind of the downturn, and where things got trickier with the team. But I still felt like my time wasn't my own, and I was still trading my time for a paycheck, which a lot of people, do their entire lives, and I had done as well. And so I really wanted the opportunity to start something and own something, build something that was mine, and my team's. And so, yeah, I guess I just mopped enough other people's floors for long enough that I wanted to see what it was like to mop my own floor.
And speaking, first of all, I can so relate to your ideas, because I've always been like somewhere in the middle. I had my own company, after that been employed. I think the truth is somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
It's and speaking of this so far. And we are speaking about jump revenue here. What were like your biggest accomplishments, your biggest rewards, let's say, and also your biggest challenges? If you have to name like the stuff that annoys you the most, or is the most challenging in your current role, but also the stuff that brings you the most joy. What will be the first two things that? pop into your mind?
Yeah. Um, so, I mean, thinking about the company as a whole, um, I think just having alignment with your founders on the goals and kind of the way that you want to build it, um, is not something that everyone finds or it comes easy. And so that's been rewarding to have. And you're right that we're bootstrapped in the sense that we're not going a VC route. But we did
Mhm.
raise a small
Yeah,
round
it's
of
yeah.
friends and family fundraise, and so that was a big accomplishment. That we did that last year, and that helped us fund the development of the product and everything. And then putting a team together, kind of strung together of contractors from different parts of the world, some folks I've worked with and some folks that I met in the process. That's been pretty rewarding, and so there's a cool team that's behind it right now. As far as challenges, um, it's it's a very data heavy product, so it relies on taking a large set of data from our customers, basically CRM data, calendar data, and syncing that and marrying that data in a way that kind of creates that magic aha moment in the product where we can show people that things insights that they didn't have. So that part of
It's
just dealing with this amount of data has been really hard and
correct,
rewarding.
correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And going a bit deeper in the technical aspects of the product, I know when we met 1 week ago, you mentioned the tech stack you are using. Can
Yeah.
you detail it again? And maybe also, how did you end up with this tech stack? How did you end up here?
Yeah. Sure thing. So, well, it's all TypeScript, I would say, as far as the application goes. So there's a front end app that's TypeScript and Next.js, and then there's a back end API and job service that's TypeScript and Nest.js as a framework.
Yeah.
Um, and that is something that, well, TypeScript is, it's just a strongly typed, beefed up version of JavaScript that we used quite extensively at Skillshare that I fell in love with there. And it solved a lot of problems for us there. And so I just, like you said, use what you know. So that's where that choice came from. And we use those frameworks as well. And I think they're also just the communities around those frameworks are great, and
Yeah.
it's very easy to find packages and tools and plugins and other tech that fits nicely within that. Like you can build a stack based on those tools like really easily and still have it be really reliable and scalable
Indeed.
too. Yeah,
Indeed.
and so that's been fun. Then on the more like infrastructure side of the stack, using GCP, which is actually a deviation from what I've used in the past as far as cloud. So
Mhm.
I wanted GCP a try. I have used AWS for a long time in a lot of different roles, and thought it was sometimes needlessly complex. It turns out GCP is pretty complex too, but it's been fun. I do enjoy it. And so, yeah, GCP with GKE. So I'm using Kubernetes for container orchestration, um, and Cloud SQL, Postgres. Um, then for CI/CD, we've got a nice setup that's GitHub Actions with Argo CD that does deployments, and even using 1Password for secrets storage, which is really nice, which plugs right into Kubernetes and
Yeah.
deploys secrets into the cluster. So that setup's pretty sweet, and um, that's really important. I think getting that part right, making it so it's really easy to deploy all the time.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Just as so far, I haven't yet met another company where that deployed as often as we did in Skillshare. So
Oh, really? Yeah.
yeah, speaking of this, so yeah, it's essential. I mean, to be able to have a easy deploy and also rollbacks in case something
Yeah.
blows up. Or yeah, yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
Um,
When you merge to
please.
main, it deploys to production. That's how I have it set up,
That's
which
great.
is great. It's just, yeah.
That's great. Are you guys, and here I have a personal curiosity, are you guys using also feature flags for, I mean,
Yeah. Not the sophisticated version that we had
mhm.
built at Skillshare, which was nice. We'll get there too. We just haven't needed it yet.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
a
for sure.
big fan of not anticipating future needs and building things prematurely, but just like
Indeed.
letting it kind of happen naturally. So you build something
Correct.
naively, very minimal code footprint, and get it working. And then when you absolutely need the thing, or you're going to need it, and based on something else on the roadmap, then you start to schedule it in and get it built. So yeah, feature flags
Uh,
right now are basically hard coded environmental variables. So you
correct.
can set
No,
things and turn things on and off. And I have different things on in staging than I do in
yeah.
production, and it's all based on nvars for
Ah, good,
now.
good, good. Good.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree. I mean, and like I'm coming back to the to Skillshare because it's a common ground that we have. But for example, when I joined, and I've seen like the PHP backend with jQuery and so on, it looked like super rudimentary, and maybe it was from multiple points of view. But that technology, even if it was old and like I don't know, rough, let's say it was serving the business well. I mean, I think first you have
Hmm.
to have a business, and after that, think about the technology side. I mean, yeah, I think that's quite important. First of all, have a platform, a real business at hand, and yeah, after that, you can come and add feature flags and whatever add other cool stuff. Um, you have quite some. Please, did you want to ask me
No, go
something?
ahead.
Okay. You have quite some extensive experience in managing teams. And I'm curious, this is something that I'm starting to wonder myself more and more recently. From your point of view, what makes a good culture? Any tips? So, for example, any tips that do you think are building a good culture, or anything that you discovered in your experience gets to good results when managing people?
Yeah. There are a lot of things that come to mind. I think the first trick is surround yourself with smart people, capable people who are also empathetic. And so I think that there sometimes you'll find people in our business who are very opinionated or not interested in learning or kind of set in their ways. And so I try to make sure that the team has that kind of culture of learning and interest and empathy. And then I think from there, just autonomy and trust, and encouraging people to try things and learn, and uh, and fail sometimes. But then when they fail, let that be okay. So blameless retros, um, and I think are important for a team. Being, everyone breaks production now and then, and that's okay. And then what can we learn from it? Um, I think working in the trenches with the team is really important.
Yeah.
That's something that I had a chance to do throughout my career, because I think I was focused on like pretty technical, like back end teams that were pretty technical and platform related stuff. So it was important for me to understand and be in pretty deep in the code with folks. Um, but I do think that that's important to understand the problems that they're going through in a detailed way. So being hands on, I guess, is the summary of that.
Yeah.
Um, and then setting people up for success with regard to being able to move quickly and ship quickly, and I think all that feels pretty good, and feels rewarding to do. And so making sure that you have like the right tools in place to do that, um, is a good way, is a good recipe for success. I'm trying to think of what else. There's probably tons of stuff that I'm missing.
Uh, I think you already mentioned so many. I mean, each of these indeed can be split it in so many like practical
Yeah,
implementations. But one thing that I liked in particular was you mentioned to have people, good people, intelligent people, and hardworking, but also empathetic, because I think it's important to. I don't know. You can have very smart and talented people that cannot be a team player. So you have to have, in order to build a good team, you have to have both also
yeah,
team players and talented folks.
I
And
think
after
so.
that, yeah, and after that, exactly. Yeah, and the autonomy part also. I so agree. It is the only way you can learn. I mean, this is your responsibility. These are the tools to get the job done. Now get it job. And it's okay, you'll fail from time to time, but that's the
Yeah,
only way you become better.
yeah, yeah, I think so. It makes it fun too.
Oh yeah. Yeah, oh yeah, exactly, exactly. I always have this analogy with sports. I mean, when you are playing soccer or whatever other, you have to score, and that's the only way to just be in the game, have the tools, and know the rules, and go for it. That you'll fail, but after that you'll become better. So,
Yeah, it's a good analogy.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, if you would be able to travel back in time, let's say 10 years or something like that, and give younger Justin an advice, a career advice, what would that be? Have you thought about this? So
I
something that would you improve or would you do something else in your career, something different?
Oh man, that's a tough one. Yeah, hindsight's 2020. Um, I guess there are um there are times when I've tried to solve a problem that wasn't the right problem
Mhm.
to solve. And so I think that as I have progressed over the last 10 years, I've learned more and more to not take the bait of like what can be uh, an enticing technical challenge
Mhm, mhm.
that your brain starts turning on. And you're like, oh, I want to solve that. I want to
Okay,
figure out
okay,
how to do that.
okay.
And you have to like slap yourself on the wrist and say, no, that's not the point of what you're trying to build. So yeah, just kind of projects that got out of hand or grew too much or became overly complicated when maybe there were kind of off the shelf tools that were solutions for things, um, to encourage people to I'd encourage my younger self to learn more of what's out there, before diving in to building something.
Yeah,
I feel like that's my job. I feel like that
pretty.
is what my job is basically to to make sure that we're not writing code.
Okay, okay, okay. Great
Like,
point. Great point.
write code. Like, there's a special area of product that you should be writing code for. Sure, that's um, the secret sauce or the special thing about the magical part of a product. But the rest of it, now, I mean, we're standing on the shoulders of giants these days. There's so much out there that people are doing really well. So if you can string together a set of tools that are where people are just focused on that one thing, like one example is auth. Like I'm using Clerk for auth, and Clerk is an awesome auth tool, and so it's already like um given us a lot of features that would have taken a lot longer to build, and that would have had to come much later. And so I'm not. We're not an auth company. We're like building a team
Correct.
calendar.
Correct.
So why build? Why spend time building an extensive authentication
Correct. Correct.
application? So I think that advice, and then I also tell like my younger self where to invest money, probably, because that's a nice thing to, if you can go back in time.
Okay.
Although that's what Biff did in Back to the Future too, and that didn't really work out.
Mhm. Okay.
It worked out for him.
I see. Nice. Nice. So basically, I think you can, beside the investing part, don't reinvent the wheel, can be one, and work on things that you should work, not on things that,
Yes.
correct. There is this book, I don't know, Peter Drucker is the management consultant. He passed away, but Effective Manager is the name of the book, and the whole idea of the book is work on. It's more important to work on the stuff that you should work instead of just work. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. So
100%.
yeah, good point. Good point. Um, if you have to make a bet to what will be the next big thing in software, where would you put your chips? Where would you invest your money? Because we just mentioned this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
again,
Good.
it's a bet. It's a guess. So it's just a game.
Yeah. I mean, I'd put my chips in chips, NVIDIA and AMD.
Nvidia.
I think that we're seeing it's a hardly uh it's a kind of simple question to answer a little bit these days. I mean, we're in the middle of a revolution
Yeah.
that's unfolding right now with AI. So it's I think the next big thing is going to be pretty big,
Oh yeah.
and I think that it'll kind of reinvent
The
the
world.
the world, the internet as we know, but the world.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so that's happening. Yeah, my thinking is, wow, enjoy it, enjoy this part while it's while it lasts, because things are about to change pretty drastically.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm. Yeah. Good point. Good point. Um, I don't have an answer, so I was thinking.
yeah,
Sometimes I'm tempted to say indeed chips, and from my knowledge, there is this algorithms are not as important right now in AI as computing power and data. That's the real. This we indeed we will point to something like NVIDIA or any chip
Mhm.
producer. But on the other side, my idea is that okay, it went up so drastically that if I have to calculate what are the chances to go down or versus what are the chances to go up twice or three times or ten
Yeah,
times more, I don't know. My common sense says that maybe it will go down.
yeah, that's
Maybe
true.
I don't
Maybe
know.
maybe we're at the top of that wave.
I
I
don't know.
think I
I
just
don't know.
mean you're probably right about that. I think I just mean AI in general. Like you
Yeah,
are super well read and super interested in AI and
interested,
LLMs and stuff.
interested not. Yeah.
Well, where what are your predictions for the next
Uh,
big thing?
I don't know. I think a big thing will be with local models, with local smaller models,
Okay.
because I think the internet and especially tech people have seen what is to be dependent on a given platform. We were speaking when we met about the changes did by Google on the SEO algorithms that
Yeah.
wiped out many businesses. On the other side, it was the case with Amazon when they were having affiliates commissions, and they slashed in one night
Right.
90% of those and so on. And also speaking of AWS, the prices are skyrocket right now. Actually, the creator, DHH, the creator of Ruby on Rails, I will send you a link to his podcast, speaking that they are moving away from Amazon because they cost way too much. So
Wow.
I think in general tech will move towards owning their own platform. I mean, yeah, it's cool now with OpenAI, they are decently cheap or other models, but what if they are not cheap anymore? What if you build a full business on your like a full AI business, let's say. And after that, your provider says, yeah, okay, I will. So, and also privacy, it's another thing. So, having local models, but also smaller models, not huge, because
Yeah,
okay, good luck trying running Llama free on something. You need a strong, especially with multiple users and so on. But on the other side, nobody. I mean, not everyone needs Oracle as a database. SQLite is fine for many use cases.
yeah,
And I think there are some chances that this will be something that will go big. Like small models will go big in
that's cool.
the next
That'd
few
be a great
years.
outcome. Like the
Yeah,
decentralization of the internet, like with the next revolution, and get back to our roots. That was the origins of the internet,
yeah,
right? And
yeah,
it's pretty yeah, it's pretty collected into these large nodes.
yeah,
So if we have if we're seeing like technology that's opening that up, and then you can kind of be at yeah, smaller networks, smaller
yeah,
models.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I would want something that I don't know is just able to understand the natural language. Okay, it doesn't have to be as smart and be as knowledgeable as GPT with to know all the history. Okay, I just need you to understand my words so that I can apply my request formulated in natural language to my own corpus of data and
yeah,
extract from there. That will be huge, and that's doable, kind of. I don't know, hope, or
yeah,
at least for sure there are people who are trying to do it. So yeah, and also maybe more tooling on the AI side in the JavaScript world. I'm somehow in the middle right now. I'm also doing some Python, but also some Java. And I'm so loving Java from the moment I start to code in Python. I mean, I discovered why JavaScript is so good when you put
uh-huh.
it in comparison with other languages. It's not perfect, but still, it's such a good language.
Cool.
Try to use Python daily for 1 month, and again, it has Python has some really cool stuff, but. Uh, so yeah, more AI tooling to in the
Yeah.
JavaScript world, AI support SDKs and stuff like that. We are getting close to our time, and this is a question that I ask all my guests. You actually give a lot of hints during our talk, but if you have to give advice to how someone can become a real professional, someone who adds real value to the team and master their craft of coding, of software development. What will be some of the key ingredients in your opinion?
Okay. So I think staying focused.
Okay.
Um, so breaking down a problem and avoiding scope creep where you're trying to solve some other problem or implement some other part of it. So just staying really focused, small PRs, ship ship continuously, make it easy to review, um, and always ship quality code. always write tests, leave it better than you found it if you're approaching something that's already written and you're adding features or fixing something. Um, and then this one actually, okay, so this is a good question. So make sure that the thing actually did what it was supposed to do.
Okay. Yeah. Good point. Good point.
So I think that is lost a little bit, even with really high level software engineers and very professional people that maybe don't do the last final check of like, is the feature turned on? Is it working? Is it working out in the wild in production? Like, do you see it? Are the records coming in, or is it being used? Can you click on it? And I know everyone has a different setup of their organization with regard to QA and testing and product folks and how that exactly where that responsibility falls. But it's just kind of like the concept of the like if you think about um, I keep thinking about like a restaurant owner or somebody that sweeps the floor, like just actually taking pride in like the whole process from beginning to end, and then going out and trying it. So be someone who tests the thing that you're building entirely, and so you can say that like confidently, like that this thing works. Like I built this
Yeah.
thing and it
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
totally works. Because it's easy to build something and get it reviewed and get your unit test passing and then push some code and then go home for the day, and then like there's bugs and there's errors happening, and like you didn't see that. You could have seen that. And sure, there should be a learning in place so that that's automatic and this and that, of course. But I mean, there is like a nice touch when you're someone that's thorough and that confirms that things are working properly. And I think that sometimes that's missing, and so that's how you can really be impactful as a professional.
Nice.
Um,
Nice. Be reliable, let's say.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And be
Nice.
kind and be interested and learn new stuff and help people learn, teach
Okay, nice.
people, mentor people. Like if you also like learn when you teach, right? So if you
Oh yeah.
learn, if you teach
I,
people who are learning and starting out in their careers, and then you end up learning about whatever assumptions you had about a topic when you're trying to teach it, or you learn what you didn't know. Um, and so yeah, I think it's good to always share things, and that gets you a long way.
nice. Nice.
Yeah,
Nice. Thank you. Very insightful. Yeah. Good point. Good point. So, if I have to summarize it, I think it's maybe more about the process than about the technology.
yeah, I guess I didn't even touch on technology, huh? It doesn't matter what
Exactly.
doesn't matter
Exactly.
what code what language you're using or what framework you're using. It's just about
Indeed.
how you break down a problem and how
Indeed.
you you know what how you make sure that it's complete and that it's done well. I don't think
Yeah.
the technology matters that much.
Indeed. 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 Indeed.
Yeah,
Justin, thank you. Was a real pleasure having you. And
me too.
at
Thank
the
you.
beginning of the interview, you are nervous that it will be a short one, but actually, I think there are so, and I think
Yeah,
we have topics for even a second one at one point without no problem. So
that'd be fun. Yeah.
yeah,
No,
yeah,
we've been to a lot of different stuff. I really enjoyed it. It's nice.
yeah,
It's nice to
yeah,
talk about
indeed,
all these things.
indeed.
I'm glad
As
we had a chance.
a closing idea, where can people find you? Where would you point people? So first of all, folks, go to Jump Revenue, sign up for the Get Early Access, keep in touch with the company, and
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, if people want to email me, they can email me, Justin@jumprevenue.com. And other than that, you can find me on LinkedIn. Um, and I'm a bit of a lurker on like Twitter. I'm there, but I don't post very much, but you can find me there as well.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I keep a little bit of a low profile, but you can find me on LinkedIn.
Super, super. I will put in the notes for the episode your LinkedIn and also
Yeah,
Jump and so on. Super. Thank you.
sounds
Justin, was
good.
a pleasure. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you so much. This was fun.